In Argentina, President Alberto Fernandez led the ceremonies for the 41st anniversary of the beginning of the Malvinas War. Pope Francis presided over the traditional Palm Sunday Mass, praying for the impoverished and welcoming those who prayed for his health. And in Montenegro, citizens go to the polls for Sunday's presidential elections. Over 542,000 are called to participate. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Argentina, President Alberto Fernandez leads the main ceremony for the 41st anniversary of the beginning of the Malvinas War in Almirante Brown province of Buenos Aires. During the ceremony for the Day of the Veterans and the Fallen in that war conflict, the president highlighted the importance of the date, not only to remember the fallen, but also to keep alive the claim of sovereignty over the Malvinas and to build a Malvinas consciousness. During Saturday night and early Sunday morning, many people participated in the vigil for the glorious deed of Malvinas in the city of Rio Grande, the province of Tierra del Fuego. The war between the Argentinian and British forces, which began on April 2, 1982, ended on June 14th of the same year and left 649 Argentinian soldiers dead. The European nation registered 255 casualties. On Saturday, former FARC fighter Levinson Valois Mosquera was murdered in the Colombian department of Choco. The announcement was made by the Commons Party, who informed that the details of the crime are unknown. However, they pointed out that the former combatant peace signer with ethnic affiliation to the Afro communities has stated he had security problems and completed an emergency procedure before the National Protection Unit. According to the Peace Studies Institute, in the past, Mosquera is the fifth former combatant to be murdered so far this year. In Ecuador, President Guillermo Lasso authorizes the possession and carrying of civilian weapons for personal defense and has also announced a state of emergency with curfew in Guayaquil, Durán, and San Borondón, as well as in the provinces of Santa Elena and Los Rios. In a message to the nations, he announced a series of urgent measures to combat the common enemy formed by delinquency, drug trafficking, and organized crime, explained the president. In this sense, he detailed that the manufacture, registration, and possession of handmade weapons will be prohibited, that controls and computerized registry will be established, and that the Public Security Secretariat will assume the coordination actions. Lasso explained that they have identified 15 high-value targets that they are following and intend to capture. Ecuador faced a deep crisis of violence led by the increase of narco-trafficking in the west regions of the country. In Ecuador, the death toll has increased to 27 following a landslide in Alausi municipality. The Risk Management Secretariat reported that the rescue teams are searching the missing people. The agency detailed that over 1,000 people were affected by the landslide and that they are waiting for the government to provide them with assistance. Meanwhile, the prosecutor's office indicated that the bodies found will be handed over to the victims' families. According to local media, the authorities of Alausi municipality, with the support of the Red Cross, have set up 4 temporary shelters to provide care to evacuees. The Red Cross warned of the increase in armed violence in Haiti and indicated that some 3 million of the 11 million people living in the country have been affected by this phenomenon. After a visit to the country, representatives of the Red Cross warned that violence is not the only crisis affecting Haitian society and that citizens are suffering from economic problems as well as poor sanitation. The authorities regretted the deterioration of the situation in Port-au-Prince as well as in other areas of Haiti. They also denounced the advance of gangs and armed groups that have taken control of the island. The specialists assured that the increase in violence disrupts the lives of citizens and affects their access to health and other essential services.
We have approximately 3 million people affected by armed violence, and this has an impact in terms of their lack of access to basic health services, restrictions on movements, and the impossibility of accessing essential services.
The head of the International Committee of the Red Cross for Panama and the Caribbean, Marisela Silva, detailed that if we compare the conflict in Ukraine with the situation of violence in Haiti, it is surprising that there are more wounded in Haiti. She also called on the international community to give a firm response and stop the crisis, which has a lower media profile than the conflict in Ukraine and therefore less funding.
If we compare today a week in Haiti and the impact of armed violence in Haiti with a week in Ukraine with that devastating armed conflict, we may be surprised to see that in the same week there may be many more deaths and many more wounded in Haiti than in Ukraine. It is necessary for the international community to take firm action to enable this humanitarian response to the needs of an extremely vulnerable population. There are crises that are, in one way or another, much more covered by the media, such as, of course, the conflict in Ukraine, which is one of the contexts with the highest level of funding and which unfortunately overshadows the possibility of positioning the needs in other crises.
Let's take a short break, but first remember you can follow us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, in which you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and much more. All the stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back from the South. Pope Francis presided over the traditional Palm Sunday Mass and during the Angelus prayed for the impoverished and thanked those who prayed for his health. A day after being released from hospital for bronchitis and in his homily, he affirmed that no one can be excluded when referring to the precarious people of the world. With his voice still affected by illness, he encouraged that the nearly 30,000 faithful who fill St. Peter's Square not to abandon the most needy to their fate. The Supreme Pontiff of Catholics explained that in the Bible, the verb to abandon is strong and appears in moments of extreme pain. On Sunday, thousands of Polish citizens marched in defense of the late Pope John II following the broadcast of a TV documentary that accused him of covering child sexual abuse in Poland before he was elected pontiff. The protest took place in Warsaw and other cities on the 18th anniversary of John Paul's passing. They were organized by an anti-abortion group under the slogan, "You woke us up, we will defend you." Since the date coincided with Palm Sunday, some honor the Catholic tradition of carrying tree branches. The documentary was broadcast last month on TVN, an independent channel that often criticizes Poland's conservative government. Many Catholic Polish saw it as an attack on a most revered man in the history of the country. The issue has taken strong political shades, particularly as Poland prepares to hold parliamentary elections next fall. On Sunday, Montenegro holds presidential elections in which more than 542,000 voters are called to participate. During the day, citizens go to the polling stations to choose between the current president, Milo Djukanovic, and the former Minister of Economic Development, Jakov Milatovic. The winner will become the head of state for the next 5 years. The Monitoring and Research Center said that at 1 p.m. local time, voter turnout was close to 39%. Polls are expected to close after 8 p.m. local time, and the first results will be issued 2 hours later. On the eve of the Easter vacation, several strikes have been called, threatening to paralyze part of the flights at European airports. In Portugal, cabin crew members of the airline EasyJet have launched a strike to demand better working conditions and an increase in wages. They are calling for a 3-day strike after negotiations with the company stalled. While in the United Kingdom, security staff at Heathrow Airport started a 10-day strike to demand higher wages. The strike involves staff at the airport's Terminal 5, which is used exclusively by British Airways. The strike will cause huge disruption and delays at the airport throughout Easter.
It is the EasyJet cabin crew of the three Portuguese bases, Lisbon, Faro, and Porto, who are on strike. We are demanding better pay and working conditions. We are unhappy with the way EasyJet treats us compared to our European colleagues in the network. We are the ones who fly the most and have the lowest wages.
TeleSUR English continues to grow. You can now tune in from 33 different African countries through StarSat. Dial 461 and enjoy a Latin American alternative broadcast. One final short break and we'll be right back. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. In Sudan, leaders have postponed until next week the signing of an agreement to resume a short-lived democratic transition, an official said, amid continuing disagreements between military factions. Security reforms are a key focus of negotiations held in recent weeks, based on a preliminary agreement reached in December to install a civilian government. The signing ceremony, originally scheduled for several days, is now expected on Thursday to finalize technical issues related to the reform of the security forces, said Khaled Omar Youssef, spokesman for the talks. Sudan's worsening economic situation has put pressure on all parties to reach an agreement. The country has faced chronic foreign currency shortages since South Sudan's succession in 2011, exacerbated by foreign aid cuts since the coup.
Both the military and civil sides have unanimously decided to intensify their efforts to resolve the outstanding technical issues starting from tonight until April the 6th and do their best to finalize their agreement on these remaining issues before April the 6th. If finalized, the signing will take place on that same day. This was an unanimous decision.
On Saturday, new protests against the reform of the Israeli judicial system resumed in the country. These are the first demonstrations in the nation after the government decided to postpone the approval of the measure until the end of July, reports the Times of Israel. Some of the demonstrators in Tel Aviv wore costumes of members of the National Guard, the security agency that could be created if approved at the next cabinet meeting. The participants marched through the city to the rhythm of the Imperial March from Star Wars. In recent weeks, Israel has been the scene of mass mobilizations expressing rejection of such steps. The reform bill envisages giving the Israeli executive a decisive influence in the selection of judges, as well as limiting the scope of the Supreme Court to overturn laws or rule against the government. On Sunday, Chinese Prime Minister Li Qian met with his Japanese counterpart to strengthen bilateral ties. During the meeting, the Chinese top official emphasized maintaining friendly and cooperative relations between Beijing and Tokyo is a vital link that works in both countries' best interests and welfare. Li reiterated that both sides are firmly committed to the development of friendly and peaceful relations. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi stressed that Tokyo is willing to strengthen relations with China even though there are still pending issues. The Japanese diplomat also asked Beijing to release a Japanese businessman detained on suspicion of espionage activities. The aftermath of Cyclone Freddy continues to affect Mozambicans. The cyclone has displaced some 184,000 people as the country faces its worst cholera outbreak in more than a decade. On Friday, the World Health Organization warned that more than 1 million people face the possibility of contracting cholera, polio, or COVID-19. The WHO representatives for Mozambique spoke from Maputo. In mid-March, Cyclone Freddy damaged 163 health facilities, increasing health risk. The WHO representative detailed the fatality rate and praised the work of health professionals. 8 of the country's 11 provinces have been affected and cases continue to rise. cholera is an acute diarrheal infection when severe it is characterized by extreme watery diarrhea and life-threatening dehydration.
The eastern city of Keliman, targeting 410,000.
In the United States, the death toll from tornadoes that hit several states in the Midwest and south of the country rose to 26. According to the latest report, the damage occurred in 8 states, with Tennessee reporting the highest number of deaths. According to authorities, Arkansas, Indiana, and Illinois accounted for the rest of the fatalities. Rescue teams expressed their concern that the number of victims could increase as the hours pass. So far, Arkansas has declared a state of emergency, and some 12 states continue to have power outages. We have come to the end of this news brief, and you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.